Hey, this is the Indich channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for the TUF Nations Finale, which happens on April 16th. So it is a Wednesday card, and following it is actually the newest season of The Ultimate Fighter with BJ Penn and Frankie Edgar as opposing coaches. Overall, with this card, I actually like this card. A lot of the names that are fighting on here are pretty recognizable. I see an early fight of the night candidate with Leslie Smith versus Sarah Kaufman. If you've never seen her first fight, check it out. It's online. You can find it on YouTube. And check out a lot of Leslie Smith fights. They're all fun. They're all crazy. And actually, Sarah Kaufman's fights as of late have been really fun too. The Just Guy fight was really good. Leslie Smith, Carmouche. She's been in some really good fights as of late. The main event's pretty good. Michael Bisping versus Tim Kennedy for 5 rounds. Not too bad for a main event. Don't care too much for the co-main with Cote versus Noke per se. They're both just like mid-level guys at this point. Not really prospects. Recognizable names, though. You know what I mean? Dustin Poirier versus Akira Corassani. I always like watching Dustin Poirier fight. He is a top 10 featherweight. KJ Noons is fighting Sam Stout. Could be fun. Once again, recognizable names. Ryan Jimmo. He's fighting. He grinds. When he doesn't grind, he can actually be fun, but a lot of times he grinds a lot. Recognizable name at least. Dustin Kimura fights George Roop. Not a bad fight, actually. And I'm actually intrigued to see what Dustin Kimura has. I think he's a pretty decent prospect. George Roop, not a bad fighter himself. And even on the Fight Pass, you got Mark Bocek's fighting. He's solid. And Mitch Gagnon, solid prospect in bantamweight as well. So yeah, let's get started. Michael the Count Bisping fights Tim Kennedy. Well, Tim Kennedy has a 17-4 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub. He's 34 years old on a 3-fight win streak. Most recently beating Rafael Natal by knockout. Before that, I believe he fought Hoger Gracie, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, he fought Hoger Gracie. Went in his guard, actually. Got his back taken. Lost the first round. And then in the next rounds, went in his guard and ground and pounded him. Says a lot about his jiu-jitsu game, especially for MMA. Trains out of Jackson Winkledown. He has some strong cardio. He's gone 5 rounds with Jacare and Luke Rockhold in losing efforts. He's a good wrestler. He's relentless about getting takedowns. Saw that in like the Robbie Lawler fight, actually. He's got a good clinch. He's getting in the scramble. His top control is solid. His kickboxing's not bad. I'd say it's average, maybe a little above average. It's not bad. It's just not great, He did manage to knock out Rafael Natal though in his last fight. So, like I said, it's not bad by any stretch of imagination. It's good, solid, whatever, like, average, whatever term you'd like to use. It's just not great. Michael Bisping, 24-5 record with 14 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. That would be to Vitor Belfort and Dan Henderson. He's 35 years old, training out at HB Ultimate. Other guys that train out of there would be Brandon Halsey, who fights in Bellator. And I believe Razor Ron McCullough trains there as well. He's got some strong cardio. Really strong takedown defense, and he's really good at getting back to his feet when he's taken down. Definitely not a guy that can really hold to the ground, and I'd actually argue he's probably in like the top 5 as far as takedown, like just counter wrestling. Probably in the top 5. I'd say there's guys like John Dodson, a couple other featherweights, maybe Demetrius Johnson, that are better than him in counter wrestling. But if there's an elite skill with Bisping, it's probably counter wrestling. He's got some strong ground and pound as well. He has some good kickboxing in the sense that he's very high output and he uses combinations a lot. The only problem with him is that, besides the fact that he's not a one-punch knockout type guy, it's just not the way he fights. He has shown a weakness to the overhand right, and it's not just the Dan Henderson fight. He got dropped by Dennis Kang from an overhand right. He got tagged by Jason Mayhem Miller and Jorge Rivera with overhand rights. I mean, for some weird reason, he's just not good at defending overhand rights. It just, for some reason, they always seem to get past his defense. Otherwise, I think Bisping wins this one. I think he'll beat I think he'll beat Tim Kennedy on the feet, and I think he can defend his takedowns. Even if he does get taken down, I can see him get back to his feet when he's taken down. I gotta go with Michael Bisping to win this one. It is a 5-rounder. I actually expect it to go the whole 5 rounds. Next fight after that, Patrick Cote fights Kyle Noke. Kyle Noke has a 20-6 record with 1 draw, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. He's 34 years old, training out of Jackson Winklejohn. He has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills and good stand-up as well. Showed his stand-up skills against Charlie Brenneman. Knocked him out. I remember he beat Chris Camozzi using his superior jiu-jitsu skills as well. Patrick Cote, 19-8 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission, 34 years old, on a 2-fight win streak. He is a good kickboxer, his takedown defense actually isn't too bad. It's been kind of deteriorating as of late. He gets taken down a lot more these days. I have to say, he used to have this granite chin. I think it's, after all the wars he's been in, I gotta say, I think his chin is deteriorating. It really showed in the Alessio Sakara fight, Alessio Sakara ended up hitting him in the back of the head a bunch of times, but he dropped him a bunch of elbows that really, started the finish of that fight. I gotta go with Kyle Noke to win this one. I think he's just a more solid fighter. He has good stand-up and good enough ground skills. Might be able to take the fight to the ground if need be. I'll go with Noke. He's just a more well-rounded fighter at this point. Okay, for the TUF Nations middleweight final, we have Sheldon Westcott versus Elias Theodorou. Well, Elias has an 8-0 undefeated record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. On the show, he showed just to be kind of like a top control grinder in a sense, Showed some good wrestling, get to takedowns, kind of right up top control, maybe get some ground and pound. He's got some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, but overall, he kind of showed himself to be something of a grinder. It's his first fight in the UFC as well. Sheldon Westcott, though, 8-1 record with 1 draw, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 29 years old on a 4-fight win streak. On the show, this guy showed to be quite a finisher, actually. I forgot who the opponent was, but man, did he just ragdoll. I think he's a judo guy, and he started ragdolling him and got this really nifty arm triangle. And then he got that Von Flue choke on that one. I think it's Vic. I think it's Vic Grujic. I'm not too sure. Grujic, excuse me. But man, he got a Von Flue choke from half guard. It's really impressive. First fight in the UFC. going from what I remember from these guys on the show, it's just they kind of have a similar style in a sense that they were both more. They both showed to be something more of grapplers than strikers, in that sense that they're similar. But Westcott showed to be a more potent finisher. I'll go with Sheldon Westcott to win that one. Okay, for the TUF Nations welterweight final, we have Olivier Aubin-Mercier versus Chad Laprise. Chad Laprise, 7-0, undefeated record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He's 27 years old. He's a good kickboxer. Really good at his range there, but when he fought Chris Indich, excuse me. And when he fought Indich, beat him in the stand-up, mainly using really superior range striking. If I'm not mistaken, too, I think he's the one that knocked out. Is he the one that knocked out Cajun Johnson? I think he might be the guy who knocked out Cajun Johnson. Pretty sure he was, actually. But yeah, good kickboxer all around. Showed some decent takedown defense on the show as well. With Aubin-Mercier, he has a 4-0 undefeated record. All 4 wins are by first round rear naked choke. He's 25 years old. He's got some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, good top control. On the show, though, he wasn't much of a potent finisher either. He was kind of like Elias in a sense, wrestled, top controlled, grinded. Didn't show that great of stand up. And because of that, I gotta go Chad Laprise to win this one. I think he'll be able to beat Aubin-Mercier on the feet, and probably defend his takedowns as well. Okay, next fight after that, Akira Corassani fights Dustin Poirier. I gotta say, curious matchmaking in my opinion, to be perfectly honest with you. And maybe Akira is gonna surprise me, but I don't know. I don't think so. Dustin Poirier, firmly entrenched top 10 fighter, top 10 featherweight. 15-3 record, 6 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's 25 years old, on a 2-fight win streak, training out of ATT. Strong kickboxer with really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. He had a really fun fight against Eric Coke. He won that one. Lost against Cub Swanson in the fight of the night. Had a fight of the year with the Korean Zombie. Managed to triangle armbar Max Holloway from Mount. I mean, it was a fight that Holloway took on short notice, granted. Really good top 10 fighter, Dustin Poirier is. One of his weaknesses that he's shown, he's kind of improved upon it as of late, is his stand-up defense at times has shown not to be that great. I mean, the guy was getting tagged by like Jonathan Brookins, But otherwise, as of late, though, he seems to have worked on that. He seems to just get hit clean a lot less, pretty much. Akira Corassani, 12-3 record with 1 no contest. 1 win by TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO. He's 31 years old on a 3-fight win streak. But even the 3-fight win streak kind of has an asterisk to it. He beat Andy Ogle. That Ogle should have won. He did have a really good, solid win against Robbie Peralta, though. But after that, he got a win by DQ over Maximo Blanco, because Maximo Blanco need him on the ground. I honestly don't know if he would have beaten Maximo, even if that didn't happen, to be honest with you. He trains out of Renzo Gracie's. One thing he showed in the right before Alta fight is good movement and some solid stand-up. You know, he's got a good left hook. He seems to be improving on the ground as well. But otherwise, you know, Dustin Poirier has fought the higher level competition, has shown to have really strong, like, well above average skills in both kickboxing and in grappling. You know, I gotta go Dustin Poirier to win this one. Get on to the prelims, which will be on Fox Sports 1. We have KJ Nunes versus Sam Stout. KJ Nunes has a 12-7 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by decision. He's 31 years old, training out of the arena. If I'm not mistaken, I think like Chris Cyborg's like one of the trainers or instructors in the arena. He has good offensive boxing. He'll use combinations, really good body punches. He uses a jab. Defensively, in his stand-up, though, he's needs work there. I remember he got head kicked pretty bad by Jorge Masvidal. And his overall, just his overall stand-up defense hasn't been that great. He's really aggressive, though. He always pushes forward. And he's actually shown some pretty solid takedown defense. Sam Stout, 20-9 record with 1 draw. 9 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission. He's 29 years old. Trains out of Team Tompkins and Syndicate MMA. Other guys that train out of Syndicate would be like Roxanne Modafferi, Vinny Magalesh, Mike Pyle. He's a good kickboxer. He uses combinations. It's kind of the same combination. It's usually like a 2 or 3 punch combination. And he always ends with a kick. His wrestling is improving. You can see that in the Spencer Fisher fight. And he has a really good chin. He did manage to knock out Eve Edwards. But, I got to say, when he fought like Cody McKenzie in his last time out, he kind of stuck to his like 2 or 3 punch combination kick at the end. And it's very much, he kind of falls into that trap too, where he'll kind of fight like that throughout the whole fight. It's almost like, in a sense, it's kind of predictable. And which is also strange, Over McKenzie is a pretty overmatched opponent. And he didn't finish him when it really looked like he could have. Nunes, like I said, defensively he's not that great. So it's kind of close, though, I gotta say. But I'm leaning a little more towards Stout. I think he can work his game upon KJ Nunes. Kind of tough to say, because, maybe I can see KJ Nunes kind of working like Jamie Stevens, how he beat Sam Stout, using forward pressure and aggression, and just getting inside of Sam Stout's face all the time. And it's definitely within KJ Nunes' strategy to do so, but I'll go with Stout, though. As you can see, it's not a pick I'm too confident in. Okay, next fight after that. Sarah Kaufman fights Leslie Smith. Leslie Smith, she is one of my favorite women's MMA fighters. She's one of my favorite female fighters. Everyone calls her like Lil Diaz. Her nickname's the Peacemaker. She has a 6-4 record with 1 draw. Very deceptive record. I mean, even when she came into Invicta, she had like a 3-2 record. I mean, she's never had that great of a record. But the records in women's MMA are pretty deceiving. She has 3 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by decision. She's 31 years old, training out of Cesar Gracie's. She is a brawler that's really aggressive, pushes forward. She likes to, very Diaz-like, but just not as technically sound, bully her opponents against the fence and start, like, unloading. She's got a really strong chin, good cardio, high output in her strikes. And her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills actually aren't too bad. If you watch watch like the Caitlin Young fights, and watch the Caitlin Young fights. Both of them, they're both awesome. She's shown good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills there. Even against Barb Honchak, I believe she was going for like an omoplata or something like that. So she definitely has some underrated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. It is her first fight in the UFC, and she is taking this fight on short notice. Very short notice, actually. Because Kaufman was supposed to fight like Baszler, and then Amanda Nunes. So, I think that's going to really work against Leslie Smith, actually. Sarah Kaufman, 16-2 record with 1 no contest. 10 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by decision. She also has 2 losses by submission, both by armbar from Marlies Kunin and Ronda Rousey. She's 28 years old. She has good technical kickboxing and uses combinations. Her punch arsenal, her striking arsenal, though, really kind of just consists of like a jab, a cross, and a leg kick. But she uses them really well. And then she'll clinch as well. But she has some really high output. She'll sometimes lead with the jab, but sometimes she leads with the cross too. She's always pushing forward. She's really aggressive. Her grappling is actually improving. If you check out the Leslie Smith fight, she actually takes her fight to the ground a couple times. She has a really good sprawl. Her takedown defense from opponents that shoot in on her has been really good. She's really good at sprawling, and she has a really good cardio as well. She can keep up her pace throughout all 3 rounds. I picked Sarah Kaufman to beat Leslie Smith the first time out, and she did. I thought a lot of people are saying that Leslie Smith should have won. It was close, but I still leaned a little more towards Kaufman for getting the cleaner strikes upon Leslie Smith a lot of times. She didn't get knocked down. In the first fight, she got knocked down by a head kick. She didn't knock down Leslie Smith, but I did feel that for the most part, she got the cleaner strikes in there. And once again, Leslie Smith is taking this fight on short notice. It's his first fight in the UFC. That all works against Leslie Smith. I gotta go with Sarah Kaufman to win that one. Okay, next fight, I thought Ryan Jimmo fights Sean O'Connell. Sean O'Connell has a 15-4 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 30 years old on a 6-fight win streak, and it's his first fight in the UFC. Ryan Jimmo, 18-3 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. He's 32 years old, training out of the Black Zillions. He is big for 205. The guy's like big, especially so he's muscular. That's the thing. He has a karate-style stand-up. When he uses his stand-up, I say this all the time with Ryan Jimmo, and he always shows it in his fights. He's very accurate when he actually does utilize his stand-up. Knocked down James Zuna with a head kick. I think he's found some when he wasn't clinching Igor Prokrayak against a fence. I remember he actually landed some punches that landed clean on him. It just, for some weird reason, Ryan Jimmo loves to clinch against a cage and just kind of grind. He can't complete a takedown. He's not a great dirty boxer. He just kind of bullies him against a clinch and does nothing with it. And it's been his style since his MFC days too. That's the thing. Which is really unfortunate because, like I said, he actually has good stand-up. He has shown, especially in that James Zuna fight, he's not great off his back, though. Otherwise, I think Ryan Jimmo wins this one. Doing what Ryan Jimmo does, he'll probably grind against a fence. If he uses a stand-up, it'll be pretty cool. Like I said, it's not too bad. He did knock out Anthony Parash in 7 seconds. So like I said, this guy has decent stand-up when he uses it. Next one I thought Dustin Kimura fights George Roop. Okay, George Roop, 14-10 record with 1 draw, 7 wins by KO TKO, 4 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO TKO and 4 losses by sub. He's 32 years old. And for a bantamweight, 135er, he is 6'1". He is a tall bantamweight. Training out of Apex MMA with the likes of like Ed West. He's tall and lanky. He's a good kickboxer, and he uses body punches. His grappling is actually improving. His takedown defense and whatnot is improving. His overall defense, though, isn't very good. He most recently got knocked out by Cisco Rivera. He really sticks his chin out. You know, Cub Swanson made his mouthpiece fly out of him. You know, his chin is a bit questionable. I think one of his problems is he's always sticking his chin out. Even against Brian Bowles, I believe, even though he won by like TKO, I believe he got dropped in the first round. So this guy gets dropped a lot. That's the thing. Dustin Kimura, 11-1 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 8 wins by sub. He's 24 years old. Training out of Gracie Techniques. Other guy that trains on Gracie Techniques would be Max Holloway. He has some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. Against like Chico Camus, took his back in the 3rd round. And he's good off his back too. In his last fight, I think he won by armbar off his back. Beat Chico Camus by rear naked choke. Stand-up is improving, but the stand-up defense needs a lot of work. I mean, in his last fight, I forgot who it was against, but I think he got dropped. And then Mitch Gagnon just dropped him and subbed him. So this one's really hard for me to call. You know, George Roop, like I said, not a bad kickboxer. I'm going to go with Dustin Kimura, though. I think he might be able to take the fight to the ground. This one's really hard for me to call, though. I might be saying that because I might be a little more impressed with Kimura as a prospect than I probably should be. But nonetheless, and George Roop, I always tend to underestimate this guy, especially because defensively he still needs a lot of work. But so does Dustin Kimura, that's the thing. But yeah, I think I'll go with Dustin Kimura to win this one. If the fight does hit the ground, it has to favor Kimura. On the feet, though, I'd actually favor Roop. That's the thing, especially offensively. I don't know if Kimura could tag Roop either. That's the other thing. Unlike a lot of other fighters probably could, but Kimura's strength isn't in the stand-up. That's why I'm a bit wary about picking Dustin Kimura here, but yeah, I got Dustin Kimura for the win. Okay, on the Fight Pass prelims, we have Mark Bocek versus Mike De La Torre. Well, Mike De La Torre has a 12-3 record, 5 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Training at the MMA lab with the likes of Alex Caceres and Benson Henderson, among others. He's got some good stand-up. Takedown defense, though, isn't that great. It's his first fight in the UFC and he's taking the fight on short notice. And he's taking the fight on short notice against Mark Bocek, 11-5 record. All 5 of those losses, too, are against the likes of like Jim Miller, Frankie Edgar, Danzig when he was really good, Rafael Dos Anjos. It's only to like the best fighters. His 1 win by TKO, but 7 wins by sub. He's 32 years old. He's training out his TriStar these days. One thing that works against Bocek, though, he last fought in November 2012. He is a good wrestler. Very effective wrestler when it comes to MMA. He has a good double leg. His top control is really solid, and he is a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And with De La Torre not having the greatest takedown defense, and Mark Bocek primarily being a top control grappler, I gotta go with Mark Bocek to win this one. Next fight off that, Vic Grujic fights Nordine Taleb. Well, Vic has a 6-2 record, 1 win by TKO, 3 wins by sub. It's his first fight in the UFC. Nordine Taleb, 8-2 record, 5 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by decision. 32 years old, training out of TriStar. I remember seeing this guy beat up like Pete Sal. I saw him in Bellator. He got knocked out by Miroslav Romskis. But he's always shown some pretty solid stand-up. It is his first fight in the UFC. His stand-up didn't look that great against Tyler Manawara, I think that's his name, and the Ultimate Fighter Nations. But otherwise, I'll go with Nordine Taleb to win this one. Next fight, that Chris Indich fights Richard Walsh. There's really not much I can say about either of the guys. Chris Indich has a 5-1 record. 2 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's 26 years old on a 3-fight win streak. He's actually never been to decision. I think one of his wins actually is by DQ. His first fight in the UFC. Richard Walsh, 7-1 record, 4 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. He's 25 years old on a 5-fight win streak. His first fight in the UFC. I don't know what to pick. I'm picking Richard Walsh. I just honestly coin toss. I can't provide much analysis. I remember watching him fight in The Ultimate Fighter too. I can't say I was overly impressed with either of these guys. I'll just go with Richard Walsh to win that one. And finally, Mitch Gagnon fights Tim Gorman. Tim Gorman was unable to fight in The Ultimate Fighter. It was last season's, if I'm not mistaken. He's an 8-2 record, 6 wins by KO TKO, 1 submission win by strikes. He's on a 3-fight win streak. It's his first fight in the UFC. Mitch Gagnon, 10-2 record, with all 10 of his wins being by submission. He's 29 years old on a 2-fight win streak. He has some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, really good chokes, front chokes and rear naked. He's a good wrestler as well. Heavy hands, man, this guy. Like I said, knocked out, in 2 occasions, he knocked down Dustin Kimura and Walal Watson, and then choked them out. And even against Brian Caraway, I mean, he was kneeing him in the face, getting some really heavy shots on the guy. Caraway, a lot of people like hate the guy, but he is actually a solid fighter and has a really good chin. And Caraway managed to submit Gagnon, which kind of goes, one thing with Gagnon that he really showed in that fight especially is his cardio is not that great. He puts a lot into his strikes too. With that said, Gagnon has a lot of good amount of experience in the UFC, solid skill set. Gotta go with Mitch Gagnon to win that one. Okay, to recap on the main card, I have Michael Bisping over Tim Kennedy, Kyle Noke over Patrick Cote, Sheldon Westcott over Elias Theodorou, Chad Laprise over Olivier Aubin-Mercier, and Dustin Poirier beating Akira Corassani. On the prelims, I have Sam Stout over KJ Noons, Sarah Kaufman over Leslie Smith, Ryan Jimmo beating Sean O'Connell, and Dustin Kimura over George Roop. On the Fight Pass prelims, I have Mark Bocek over Mike De La Torre, Nordine Taleb over Vic Grujic, Richard Walsh beating Chris Indich, and Mitch Gagnon beating Tim Gorman. So that's my predictions for the Ultimate Fighter Nations Finale. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.